Welcome everyone everywhere to the Elite Thinking Club. I'm Chris Jules Julian and I'm joined today by my co-hosts Lucas Hilson.
You're right.
Liz Barker.
Hey.
And Chris Chicken George.
Hello.
Wicked, wicked. Last episode, we talked about, what did we talk about? Phobias, was it? We touched on phobias and like what everyone's afraid of. And yeah, really, really good. And we also like, I posted to the team about like DNA and how fears can run through your DNA because trauma is passed through your DNAs. And if you haven't had a chance to watch that, then guys, definitely watch that. And also, if you're listening to the podcast as follow, if you're watching us on YouTube, then hit the subscribe button and also comment anything that you want us to cover on future episodes because we're more than happy to cover it. And if you want to join us for another episode, then you can be here too, talking to the team as we record an episode. So I'm going to keep it going, yeah, from that phobias, yeah. We touched on it, but we didn't do an episode on it until now. Has anybody seen a ghost? Have you seen a ghost? Do you believe in ghosts? Do you think they exist? Any of you guys?
I haven't seen a ghost, but I do believe in them, and I believe in paranormal activity.
Interesting. I've got a theory on it, but I'm not going to say it first because I want to save it right for later on. I want to hear what you guys have to say first. Chris, you look like you've seen a ghost. Love it. No, but have you ever seen a ghost?
I haven't actually seen a ghost.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, very much. And well, I can tell you, I had an experience when I was a lot younger where I used to live in an old house near the port where I live. And I don't know, it must have been about sort of 6 to 10 years old, around about that age. But every night I went to bed, the stairs would creak, but it wouldn't be like a creak, like a constant creak. It would be like a...
I'm scared already. I'm so scared. I'm
scared. But obviously I was really young. So, and I used to always hear it and always just be like, it's not what I think it is, you know. I mean, I didn't know what it is, but I thought it's not. I mean, the first few times I heard it, I just thought it was a person. But then you notice that nobody actually came up the stairs. You know, my mum or dad didn't go into their bedroom. And then after a while, it would come up the stairs and then it would go back down the stairs with the creaks. So this is when now I'm starting, and my brother used to live in the bedroom with me, and we'd look at each other and just be like, what is that? Like, what is that? And the bathroom was downstairs, man.
So if you needed to go to the toilet in the night, you had to like go down the stairs.
Oh no.
I would bolt it downstairs, you know, as quick as I could. Go to and run like mad. But so one night, after a while, I used to just get under the covers. The creak kept going up and down, and then the bedroom door opened because it used to be closed, but it just swung open, and I just remember staring at it like with my cover like this, and thinking someone's gonna walk in, and nobody did, and that was it. I just was like so scared. But this is the thing, that, like I said, you know, I'm in my 30s now, but I must have been about 28 when my parents said to me, we never spoke. I never said anything to my mum or my dad, nothing, neither of my brothers. But we was at home once, and I must have been about 28, 29. And my mum said to me, when you was younger, we used to live in this house, did you ever see a ghost? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, there used to be a little boy ghost that lived in the house. And obviously my hairs on the back of my just went up, and I was like, there always used to be creaking coming up the stairs and the door kept opening. She said, well, yeah.
Lucas, don't do that.
Lucas has put his hood up, guys. If you can't see him, he's put his hood up. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling tired too.
So obviously me and my older brother were staring at my mum. We're like, you're actually joking, man. She said, no, me and your dad used to see a little boy, a ghost, in the house. Supposedly my dad said, when we thought you was in the house because your dad could see a little boy up in the top bedroom from the garden, and he went in, but you guys had all gone out. There was nobody in the house, but he kept seeing it all the time. And then one night, the little boy was at the end of my mum and dad's bed, like crying and that, and she just said that she read it like a few like prayers and stuff, and then it just sort of like stopped coming as much.
Wow.
But it was crazy because when she told me that, I kind of didn't want to know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Because
Yeah.
the whole time I'd said to myself it was nothing. It was generally nothing, but it actually was. It was, you know, however we want to say it, an entity of a little boy.
Mm.
Chris, you grew up by the seaside, right?
Yeah, down in Parkston. Yeah.
Do you feel like sometimes ghosts tend to like to be around water? They tend to venture, I don't know, this is just a theory, that they tend to venture closer to the ocean, or?
Yeah, so my mum said that she looked into the house just to confirm if anyone had actually passed in the house. And a little boy had died in the house.
Oh man, so that was his house?
Yeah.
Well, what he believed to be his house.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow. Now here's the thing, like he probably meant you no harm.
Oh, absolutely.
But ain't it so terrifying? Like,
yeah, I think sometimes.
Why are we scared of something that we don't actually know that they can hurt us? Like,
yeah, my mum.
How could they hurt you?
She'd always say, "It's not the dead you should be scared of; it's the living."
Mm.
wow.
Yeah.
And she's, you know what? She's so right. She's so true. Like,
yeah.
you know, I've never had something like that happen to me yet, but I have scared myself. Like I've convinced myself that something else is around. But I will tell you, you know, I've been around people that attract these feelings. Like you can sense it. Something's staring at me, but nothing's there. Do you get what I mean? That kind of feeling. And I think that scares me. That scares me a bit because I know something's there, but I don't have the ability to see it. But it has the ability to see me. But before we get into that, right? Chris, what a story, mate. Now, if you're listening and you're watching us right now and you felt that, like we felt that, guys, comment, let us know. And if you got an experience that you want to share, tell us, because it's powerful stuff. Wow, Chris, thanks for that, man. That was great,
because
man.
I think once my mum had told me the amount of times I would go in my bedroom and something would be moved, and I would always have a go at my brothers for it, and they'd go, I never moved it, and it just all sort of clicked what was going on.
Did parents saw this ghost, like this supposed little boy at the end of the bed? Did they like tell you what it like looked like? Because obviously you have the typical cartoon of this white figure like Casper the Ghost, and he sort of like floats around and stuff. But
yeah,
what did they tell you or not?
Well, they just said it just looked like a little boy. Yeah, but they didn't really go into fine detail. To be honest, when they told me, I was just like, obviously in quite a bit of shock in a way. And we don't speak about it as much as maybe we should, but because we were so young at the time, and it scares it scares me, I suppose, thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just so young and just And then when I do think about it, you kind of get yourself spooked a bit, like in your own house, you know?
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. So was it invisible? Was it like this? My dad said when he saw it in the garden, it generally just looked like us. Like one just looked like a boy in the window, like a normal boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you find they could be searching for you. Like you are their reason. They need something from you. And I think the more times people send them away, you know, it must be quite saddening because they're just needing something from someone. And I suppose they'll just keep searching until they find it, I guess. I don't know. It's just, wow. Liz.
Oh, I'm itching to get this out. Okay,
Tell
right.
us.
So I've always been open-minded and you know, believe that there's something out there. Basically, I haven't ever seen anything, but this is a paranormal experience, and I'm just glad because I didn't go through it myself, so I wasn't alone, and otherwise I'd probably sound mad. Anyway, so I used to live in a flat, and it was the first flat I'd ever lived in, and I lived in it with my partner. I had experienced a few times where I would be sitting on the sofa and behind me would be the doorway, and I would always feel like there was somebody standing in the doorway. Sometimes I used to even think my partner had come home from work early and was standing in the doorway. So that happened a couple of times. Didn't think anything of it. Another time I was clearing out my wardrobe in the bedroom, and I felt this whoosh. I can't explain. It was like a whoosh of air, and then I heard a voice right close to my ear, and it said "Grouchy, Grouchy," and I was like, who was that? What was that? So I ran into the living room out of the bedroom thinking it was my partner pranking me, winding me up. He was asleep on the sofa, and I woke him up because I was like, what were you just on about? What did you say? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. So that happened. Didn't tell anybody else. Only ever spoke to my partner about it and said, it's a bit funny in here sometimes. And he even admitted he understood the presence thing with the door. Anyway, didn't think anything of it, carried on living there. So I'd moved the bedroom around, put the bed up against the wall, and moved the wardrobes around. And then a couple of weeks after I'd moved the bedroom around, I woke up one morning and there was what looked like if you dipped a paintbrush in red paint and flicked the paintbrush up against the wall, there'd be speckles of red dots. So it looked like one of us had cut ourselves in the night and basically blood had gone against the wall. So I washed it, didn't think anything of it, washed it. And I thought, where on earth has this come from? Didn't understand it. My partner checked my head. I checked his head. We checked our ears, arms, everything. Because I thought, where the heck has this come from? We had no pets at the time. So I washed it off the wall. A couple of nights later, woke up, there was red speckles on the wall again. I was like, what is going on here? This is really strange. Honestly, on my life, this is true. And I have witnesses, because I thought I was going mad. I was like, this isn't right. So anyway, that happened, kept washing it off the wall. And every now and again, I kept thinking something's not right. Anyway, a friend of mine was going to see a medium, a fortune teller lady, spiritualist lady. And she said, would you like to come along with me? And I was completely, why are you paying her to read your cards, tell you your life story? You know, I was very skeptical about it. I was like, okay. So I went along to this lady and I sat in a seat in the room, and my friend had paid this lady £30 to speak to her and to have her cards read, her palm read, all of that. I had nothing to do with the booking. I had nothing to do with it. I sat in the chair, sitting there, very skeptical, listening. And the lady turned around, she said, I'm ever so sorry, I know you've paid me, but I really need to speak to your friend. To which I thought, you ain't getting £30 out of me, love. No. I was that skeptical. I was like, no. She said, could you please take your watch off? I need to hold your watch, and I need to, because I need to talk to you. There's something special about you and I need to tell you, I need to speak to you. And I said, no, I'm not here for this. You know, my friend's here. She said, can you please swap chairs? My friend was slightly annoyed. I was slightly concerned. Anyway, I got in the chair and she sat there and she started to say to me, as I'm in your home, I go up the stairs and on the wall, there's the red. And I was like, now only myself and my partner knew about this red speckles on the wall. This woman started to talk to me about it. She started and she said to me, I swear to you now, she sat there, and I was so glad my friend was there, because my friend wasn't aware. She was like, what the hell is this lady going on about? So she said, yeah, there's red. She said, don't worry, don't panic. And then she said to me, they won't show themselves to you because they know you don't want to see them. But if you do want to see them, they will then show themselves to you. I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. She said, you do. She said, also, when you're in bed at night, she said, you feel like something's scratching your feet. You don't like your feet out of the bottom of the covers. And I said, how do you know that? Because only my partner knew that, and only I knew that. So then I started to think, hold on a minute. This is like one of those Ant and Dec TV shows where it's all a stitch up. My partner's told her to say this. So anyway, she then went on to explain that basically an old man used to live in the flat. He died in the flat. He suffered from nosebleeds. And I was and she said he had no family. He's just been trying to communicate with you. The scratching on your feet is his cat. He had a cat. And I was like, what? And then she said, if you'd like me to explain Grouchy, she said, I can tell you who that was. And she said the name of the person. I said, I don't know anybody by that name. The name that she said was my partner's mother, who died when he was 6.
Oh, man.
She didn't just say that. She went into a whole lot of things. She told me jobs I was going to do, people I was going to meet. She read my cards. And she said, I don't want you to pay me. I just they're here and I have to tell you all of this. She knew about family members. She knew where I was from. She knew so much. so much. And she told me that, she said, do you believe in guardian angels? And I said, well, I believe in a whole lot more now, you know, because of what she was telling me. And
Yeah, for real.
she said, I can see you're leaning up against, you're climbing on a bin. Sounds a bit random. I was very small, apparently, climbing on a bin. And I was looking over the fence, and she said that there was a little man and a dog who follows me around. He's one of my guardian angels, an old neighbor from when I was very young. Apparently I was the only person that used to talk to him. I used to play in the garden, climb up. He had a little dog. But anyway, this lady cleared up the whole thing with regards to the splatter of the red spots on the wall,
Yeah.
and the feeling of somebody there. And when I got home that day from that, seeing that lady from that appointment, as soon as I got home, my partner said to me, look in the cabinet, I've got a surprise for you. I opened the cabinet and it was a tiny little kitten. And I was like, whoa, because the man had a cat. It was just strange. Anyway, so
That is
yeah,
brilliant though.
I didn't believe, I honestly thought it was like some sort of setup, because the stuff, when she started talking about it, I thought, she cannot know about this because only myself and my partner knew about it.
Yes.
And when I went home and explained everything that was said to me, he even cleared up. He said, oh, that's my mum, that's so-and-so, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is too much. But it actually was very healing, and it was actually lovely to know.
Yeah.
And she said that it was nothing harmful and nothing bad was going to happen. So
I love that. I love that story.
I just want to ask, whose idea is this episode? Because I'm not going to sleep for about a fortnight, I don't think.
Yes, and you know what? I love that we're talking about this. I think a lot of people can relate to what we're saying in their own little way. Something has happened. So you guys know, I told you, I've not seen ghosts, and you just saying what you said, Liz, what the medium said to you helps me to understand why I don't see them, because I don't want to see them. You know, and there are some people who are
Absolutely.
quite comfortable with seeing them, so maybe that's why they see them. You know, oh mate. That actually brings me on to something I remember. So when I was in basic training, there was a story of these two lads that they were out on a tab, not just them two, the whole platoon. They were going out training on the back area of Catterick, right? And Catterick has a back area that is unforgiving sometimes, yeah? There's parts of it that are just horrible, especially to untrained soldiers. They're not even fully trained yet. This is your transition from civilian to soldier. So they're going out on a tab, and a tab, TAB, is a tactical advance to battle, right? So you're carrying your kit on your back, plus your rifle and your weapon systems, your ammunition. You're pretty much going for a few miles, and that's me being light. A few miles, could have been 8 before you leave training and join your regiment. But anyway, there was this story of the weather in Catterick. It has its own weather forecast system out there. I'm telling you that it will come down when it wants to come down, whether that's snow, rain, sleet, the worst conditions. Yeah, they were out on the back area tabbing as a platoon. The weather changed for the worst. It got so bad, so bad, that the valleys started filling. Normally it just gets a bit waterlogged and you're in the shit and you're doing your hard routine, whereas these guys, it was bad. Wind was coming in from the side, and basically they were going over this part of the back area, and I don't know specifics. Back then I knew more, but the wind and the rain took these two lads off the track and into a valley. Now, when they landed, their kit weighed them down. You know, you can imagine they weigh a lot more than just without kit, and the mud came over them. They drowned, and these boys were like, this story was, passed on, and it wasn't a myth, and it wasn't like old time ago. This was quite relevant. Like, I joined 2007, so yeah, it was like a year before that maybe. And people would say that these boys were like not haunting Catterick, but they still were there. People would see them at night, like tabbing the area or leopard crawling across the ground. We used to crawl a lot in basic training. They would still be there. And yeah, it just made me think, wow, like, how can some people see it, but I never see it? Do you know what I mean?